So today it came out that Klaus Schwab, Mr. You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy himself, is stepping down from the World Economic Forum. All right. There is always a lot of talk about the WEF or WEF. I still don't know if you're supposed to spell it out or say it out, but the World Economic Forum. There's always a lot of talk about exactly what they are doing between them and WHO, the World Health Organization. There's a lot of talk, and most of it is not good when it comes to these three-letter organizations, right? EPA, WF, WHO, CIA, FBI. There's a lot of FDA, USDA is technically 4 letters, but you know what I mean. 3-letter agencies, we don't really trust them very, very much, right? Well, Klaus Schwab, who is a very interesting looking gentleman. This is Klaus Schwab for anybody who has not seen him before. This is him. They said today on Tuesday, May the 21st, that he is stepping down as the leader of the ring of the World Economic Forum. He is the founder, side note, of the World Economic Forum. He's been at the helm of the organization for over 50 years. Now, here's what I find interesting. The forum itself has not said who will be his, who would succeed him or succeed him, because succeed isn't right. Succeed him. Who would be his replacement, if you will, in easier terms, right? They have not said who it would be. Now, in 2015, the World Economic Forum, since 2015, the World Economic Forum has been transforming from a convening platform to the leading global institution for public-private cooperation. This is according to the WEF. They said in a statement to CNBC, as part of that transformation, the organization has also been undergoing a planned governance evolution from a founder-managed organization to one where a president and managing board assume full executive responsibility. Y'all, I need you to understand what that means. So, instead of one person holding all the power, now there's going to be a whole group of people in power. Sometimes that's better. When you have more than one person pulling the strings, sometimes that's helpful. Unless, of course, now you have a whole group or room full of men or women, who have very differing ideas on what should happen. It could turn into a small bloodbath, if you will. So I think it's interesting that they're shifting away from what it has been for the past 50 years. They're going from a one man at the helm to a board of people and a president and managing board, right? Now, they are considered a non-profit think tank. And they say here that Schwab would transition to a role as chairman of the board of trustees. Now, it added that the board would be organized around 4 strategic committees to further reinforce the impact of our work. I don't like the word reinforce. That might just be me, but when they say reinforce the impact of their work, I hear there's going to be more pushes for things that the world may not agree with. But as the World Economic Forum, they're going to have a bigger pull, push, whatever, and everything. So think about it this way. Klaus Schwab is going away and they're bringing in a whole board of people. If they're bringing in someone from China, someone from Russia, I don't know how they're going to do this. This has just been talked about today. There may be more information on this somewhere out there. I am not 100% sure exactly what it is, just so you guys know. If you happen to have any information that you've heard or come across, feel free to leave it in the comments and let SquirrelTribe know so we can all educate ourselves at the same time, right? But according to the way it sounds to me, if they're going to have a whole board of people, if they are a part of the World Economic Forum, it seems to me, since they do bring in really big leaders and power players from all over, that the board would be made up of power players from all over. That, to me, could spell disaster, depending on what power players make it to the board. I doubt there's going to be a seat for somebody from every single country. I seriously doubt that's how that's going to work. So will the United States have somebody on this board? Will China, Russia, will, Israel, Iran? What about, randomly, what about somewhere in Africa? What about Nigeria? What about South Africa? What about Taiwan, the Philippines? Like, what countries, will Canada have a seat at the table? So I'm very curious how this board is going to work once Klaus Schwab steps down. At first they said that they thought that his successor, because predecessor is the one who comes before you, I'm pretty sure, who his successor would be, they said they thought it would be like one of his kids or his kid or something like that. The 86-year-old succession has been the source of much speculation over recent years, with potential replacements including his children or Brindy. I don't know who Brindy is. I'm sure I should, but I don't know. I do think that having his children just take over for him would be a bad idea. Now, that is how they do things in England. You know, you're part of the family. You just automatically get a seat at the table and get to take over. Here, you know, in the United States, we get to vote. A lot of other places vote people in. So I think that not being able to just hand this huge thing over to your kids is probably a good idea. But like I said, on the flip side, you never know who's going to be now the new president and the managing board and how this is all going to work. It's going to be very, very interesting, because we know the World Economic Forum has made a lot of changes and tried to push for a lot of changes. And it's not always great for everybody. Generally speaking, though, nothing really is great for everybody. There's always going to be somebody who's kind of on the short end of whatever is decided upon. So I'm very curious. There's a little thing crawling on the front of my windshield. It looks like a frog, but it also kind of looks like a cricket. I don't even know what that thing is. That's weird looking. Anyway, so I'm very interested to see how this goes. According to this, over the years, the annual Davos gathering has become a must-attend event for the global elite. Okay. It aims to bring world leaders and business heads together to address important issues. Key meetings at the event had featured the first ministerial talks between North and South Korea, the origins of various campaigns such as the Global Health Initiative to combat AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. It has since faced criticism, however, for failing to represent diverse voices and make progress on global issues such as climate change and wealth inequality. Wealth inequality, to me, is going to be one of the biggest ones. And that is going to lead into exactly what I wanted to talk about today. I bring up Klaus Schwab because it's breaking news today on Tuesday. This just happened. But what I wanted to discuss with you outside of all of this is something that happened in the county just to the, never eat shredded wheat, just to the west of me, in Escambia County in Florida, in Perdido Key specifically, which is kind of like on the Alabama-Florida line. Perdido Key. There was an older couple, this just happened yesterday, I believe, an older couple in their 80s who their daughter was at their house with them, and they don't have all the information yet. It hasn't all come out. They haven't released the names of this couple or anything else. But according to what I read and what they have released so far, the daughter left to go to the store, and when she got back, she found both of her parents deceased and a suicide note. According to the suicide note, the father killed his wife and then killed himself. Now, this couple was in their mid-80s. So when I saw it, my first thought was, and this is going to sound awful and maybe morbid, and I don't mean it to, but I feel like this is a conversation we need to have. My first thought was, how many more senior citizens are going to go this route? Now, YouTube doesn't like people talking about this. This is considered mental health and things like that. And they're going to want to say, you know, you should plug better health and, you know, plug therapy and all this other stuff. I fully believe everybody should make sure their mental health is in order. You should talk to whoever you need to talk to, whether it's a friend, a therapist, family member, yourself, a diary, a journal, whatever. I do feel like getting thoughts and feelings out is extremely important. I do that here with you guys here and on SquirrelTribe 2.0. You guys are like my unpaid therapist, so thanks for doing the free work. I love y'all immensely. But when I heard about this, my first thought was there's going to be more and more of these older people, whether they're couples or individuals, you know, either way, that they're getting so screwed over by our country that sometimes, unfortunately, they may feel like this is the only way out. Because think about it. You're in your 80s, you're in your 90s, and you don't want to be the burden on your children. A lot of older people call themselves burdens to their children and their children's families or to their friends or whatever else. And if you don't have kids, it's even worse, because then you're like, well, how do I afford to be taken care of? How do I afford to go into a retirement home or a nursing home or something like that? On Social Security, it's not possible. A lot of people, and just so you know, I get really fucking pissed off at people who are like, Social Security is not meant to live off of. Well, no shit, Sherlock, but do you know how many people lost everything in 2008 in their 401ks when everything crashed? They lost so much. People who lost a ton of money in 2020, 2021, 2022, when everything went to shit. I lost a ton in my 401k. A lot of it has come back based off of where I have, you know, my money in certain stocks and whatnot, but not everybody's in that same boat. So anybody out there who wants to play that whole, you know, you're better than somebody else because you don't plan on living off your retirement or, living off Social Security, good for you. You want a fucking cookie? Like, it's not that way for everybody. Some people did not plan to live off Social Security, yet 2008 and then again in 2020 has ruined a lot of people's monies. Okay, so just let's all be very clear on that. Now, the fact that Medicaid issues have come up, the fact that housing prices are through the friggin' roof, the fact that insurance is stupid, it costs so incredibly much, food costs so much, medicine costs so much. You see the older generations, the people, the men and women who literally built what I know as this country and, made way for me to be who I am, where I am, made way for me to be a woman who worked a corporate job, made way for me to be a white female married to a black man raising a mixed child. I have the utmost respect for the older generations. Now, obviously, not everybody in the older generation is great. Some people suck. Same thing with my generation and the generations that come after me. Some people just suck, right? But it does not change the fact that, like I said, I don't know exactly why this couple, why this man, there was the murder-suicide. I do not know exactly why, but my very first thought was they can't afford to continue on if they don't have any money left, if Social Security is not paying enough to do whatever. They don't want to be a burden on their child. And they thought that maybe this would be the best option. That is my first thought when I saw this. And I really do feel like you're going to see more and more people in that headspace, because over the pandemic, a lot of people took their own lives based off of what was going on, whether they were scared of everything that was going on, whether they lost jobs and, they were losing money, or they became homeless or whatever else. When I see these kind of things happening, when I see anything happening to the older generations, to, I guess the boomers is what they're supposed to be called, and older, and I don't really like putting that label on there. I know that there's like a thing, like I'm a millennial because I was born in 82 and I think millennials start at 81. Then you have your Gen Xers, Gen Zers, your alphas, your whatevers. It is what I don't really like the whole labels. It does, just because you're born from this time frame to this time frame doesn't mean you should have a label slapped on you, like whatever, right? So the older generations who are now 80 something years old and having to go find a part-time job because they can't afford their medicines and their whatever else. The ones whose kids are like, no, you can't come live with us, we don't want that, or who are like, fine, it's whatever, but it's going to cost so much money. I feel like there's more and more people who are worried about end of life, so they take it into their own hands. You know what I mean? They decide to go their route, which it's going to be different for everybody. Canada, they have a thing called, I think we talked about it before, and I think it's called MAID. Maybe that's what it is, where you can literally go in Canada and legally you get assisted end of life. We'll put it that way. I mean, Dr. Kevorkian, wasn't that what he was too? Help in end of life kind of stuff. But anyway, hopefully this comes out. Well, actually, no, there's no good end to why this man and this woman are no longer with us. But I hope I don't see more stories like that. I hope that there are more people who have someone to turn to and can find ways to live than not. You know what I mean? But with the way our economy is going right now, I mean, when you have McDonald's charging like paying $20 an hour for somebody to work, and your Big Mac meal now costs you $15, when you can't go to the grocery store and get eggs and milk and bread and cheese for under $20 because everything costs so much, it does start to wear on people. And the people with the least amount of money are going to be the ones who feel that hit harder than anybody else. The fixed incomes, the Social Security, the SSDI, the ones who are just, I don't want to, even the ones down on their luck, because there are people who are down on their luck. Now, there are people who are where they are because of poor decisions they have made, and I feel sorry for them, but they could figure out how to fix this. But not everybody's in that situation. Some people are where they are through no fault of their own, and those are the people that I, literally my heart hurts for, because I would love to help every single person out there. I wish there was a way to help everybody, since our government don't want to do shit to help anybody unless it's, another country or, another... no, that won't work. Another country or illegal immigrants. There we go. I don't know. I saw it and I wanted to bring it up because I know there's a lot of people that in this audience, for, us in the Squirrel Tribe family, who are older generation. And I think about you guys all the time, and I worry about exactly what is happening on your end. Like, what's going on over there? Y'all know exactly what's going on with me. I tell you stuff all the time, but it's not fully reciprocal. Sometimes people will tell me, they'll email me or Instagram DM me or DM me over on Patreon, and they'll tell me kind of what's going on, like John that we talked about a couple days ago with the insurance in Oklahoma. But there's so many people out there who need somebody to talk to. And I just want to remind everybody, the comment section is a great place for you guys. If you need help with something, there are plenty of people out there who are willing to give advice and maybe have some answers if you guys need them, on whether it's how to make some money, how to save some money, how to get started on growing your own food, how to figure out the best way to live out the last years of your life in a financially feasible way. You know what I mean? I'm not a financial channel. I am not giving financial advice. I have no whatever. I have to pretty much give that disclaimer. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but I do think it's helpful as a community when we can have those conversations, whether it's here on video or in the comment section. So if you're in any kind of situation, feel free, if you're willing, because it's a lot to put yourself out there like that. If you're willing to jump in the comments, I'm sure we would all love to help in any way that we can. So that's that. Anyway, I have more for you guys tomorrow. This is just something I wanted to bring to your attention today because I think it's an important conversation to have. Klaus Schwab, number one, but also the older generations and what they're going through with the rising cost of everything. You got to think, the people who are, like I said, who are being hurt the worst are the ones who have worked the hardest and built the most of this country. And it's just absolute shit, in my opinion, that this is where a lot of people are in the years where the golden years, the years that they should be just laying back and enjoying life with not a single care in the world. And they're probably the most stressed out of everybody. And it's disheartening, to say the least, and it's heartbreaking to say the least also. So anyway, I love you guys no matter what. Just so you know, y'all know I say I love you immensely all the time. People make fun of me for it, but I do love y'all immensely. And thanks for letting me always have these conversations with you, no matter what they are. I do appreciate you guys letting me be open with whatever topic and thought process I'm going through. And I love y'all, and I will see you again tomorrow on Hump Day, my dudes. Okay, bye.